All right, so I watched season 8, episode 3, Game of Thrones. Once again, Battle of Winterfell, and this is just my stray thoughts. My initial impression is unchanged. I thought it was pretty good. Now, a few of my comrades, colleagues, and friends online have said this is the very best episode of Game of Thrones so far. A couple of them have gone so far as to say one of the best episodes of television so far. It's definitely very cinematic, very epic, very well done. It's good. It is... Alright, I don't want it to sound like a complaint, but one of the downsides to them having all of their characters in one place, in one battle, is that it's sort of all over the place. One thing I really loved about the Battle of the Bastards was that was pretty much the whole episode, that single battle. And we were seeing different perspectives, but it's all really the same area of the same conflict. And the problem with the Battle of Winterfell, it's the same kind of thing that happened in Infinity War, is that now we've got a bunch of different groups of people in different areas. They're all technically fighting the same conflict, but they're fighting different groups of enemies at the same time. And we've got to devote enough time to their stories that we can follow all of them. One thing that the Walking Dead has done in similar situations, I think the Battle of Winterfell could have benefited from the style that they've done. Occasionally The Walking Dead would show the same conflict, but they're following different characters for different episodes in that same conflict, right? And so, like, for example, we could get, and this is something that Martin does in the Song of Ice and Fire books, you'll notice when you're reading. We'll have a chapter from one character's point of view, and then a little later on in the book, we'll notice that this is basically like the same event, but from being told from a different point of view, maybe slightly later, maybe a memory of what happened. It's a cool Rashomon type thing, where we're seeing the different truths for different people. I don't necessarily think we need the different truths of this battle from the different people, but I think it would have been maybe a little easier to digest this giant battle if we maybe devoted like the front lines and the inside of Winterfell, maybe broken it up like that. But once again, I don't want it to sound like a complaint. This was a long episode, around 80 minutes, so nearly an hour and a half, longer than usual. And also, you know, they're only doing 6 episodes this season, so they don't really have the ability to do that. But I think that might have worked a little better as far as digestibility goes. And I think that's maybe why, upon my initial viewing, and some of my friends as well, we maybe missed enough things that we couldn't really recall what we had watched. Because it's just a lot to take in. The battle's huge. But stray thoughts coming in there. Still impressed with Little Lady Mormont and her death scene. I think it's one of the best in the series. That was just fantastic. A little bit anticlimactic with the Night King. This is something that I literally covered about 5 minutes ago in a conversation in a Game of Thrones group. Was right now, at the end of the story, we've come to a narrative problem. And it's the problem of the stakes. And that's I've covered this briefly in one of the early videos on this channel when I was talking about storytelling as an art form, and talking about pacing and all of that. So the problem with the others is that they are the biggest conflict, right? So we've got them threatening literal existence. They're going to kill every living thing on the continent of Westeros if they get their way. And they're not going to. The Night King was defeated. The dead are defeated. But now we've got 3 episodes where what's left of the army has to take the throne from Cersei and the Golden Company. Now, that would be a good conflict to watch. The problem is the stakes of that are much lower, right? Cersei is a shitty queen. Pretty much everyone in Westeros would agree with that. But a few points have been made already in the series. The first one is that to the common person, these political conflicts don't really mean that much. Their day-to-day life does not change depending on who's sitting on the throne. Whoever's butt occupies the Iron Throne doesn't affect the farmer in the fields trying to prepare for winter, right? But the conflict for the throne does affect them. Armies come in and forage or pillage. They kill civilians. One of the thing about the Brothers Without Banners, that was their whole point, was that they had to defend the common folk because the war is devastating to them regardless of side, even when they don't pick a side. So if you've just fought, and they made this point in episode 2, that a lot of the people fighting to save Winterfell were people who had started off fighting against the Starks, or against the King in the North, against the concept of autonomy for the North. This is a group of people who now have secured their fight for their literal existence, and now they're expected to march all the way to the other end of the continent and fight another war just to put somebody on the throne. I find it hard to believe that the majority of them would give enough of a shit after this battle to march against Cersei, right? And this is a problem narrative-wise because there's no real way around it. When you have these 2 conflicts going on at the same time, it would have been unsatisfying and probably seemed a little dumb if they had decided to take the Red Keep before marching north against the others, right? Because everyone, that's like the major climax is going to be who's sitting on the throne. That's what the entire show has been building up to. It's been the primary conflict of the series. It's what started everything in the first place, was the notion of the legitimacy of the Baratheon heirs and who should be on that throne. That's the whole point of the series. So adding in the others and the Night King was really good up to this point, right? It gave a bigger problem to worry about. Now we have to deal with who sits on the throne, and if we had dealt with that before, because the whole series been building up to that, then the whole thing with the Night King and the others, that becomes sort of an afterthought, like a footnote. Like, this is what happened after the story that you were watching. It's like an epilogue, right? It becomes uninteresting. But the way we have it now, where it comes before, now the story of the throne is sort of the uninteresting epilogue. Like, the whole point of them fighting the Night King was that was a more pressing matter, that was more important than who was sitting the throne. So now that that's been solved, what motivation does anyone have to give a shit about who's on the throne? If it was me, even as John, like, or I guess Aegon, he's never craved power. Every time he's gotten power, it's because it was pressed onto him, and he accepted it because it was what was best for defending his people, defending the North, defending his family, right? From his first bit of power when he becomes the Lord Commander, then when he becomes Lord of Winterfell, then when he's declared King in the North, all of that is stuff he didn't ask for. And there's more than once where he basically says, like, this isn't what I want. This is what you guys want. And I want the North to be safe and protected, so I will go along with it. I just don't see any reason, as far as his character goes, any in-character reason why he would then say, okay, we've done this, now it's time for me to take my rightful place as king of the Seven Kingdoms. That doesn't make a lot of sense for Jon as a character. It's not in character for him to do so. It's definitely in character for Daenerys, except that she just lost half of her army. She's going to need the wildlings and the bannermen of the North to fight against the Golden Company, literally the greatest sellswords in the world, we've been led to believe, who have everything they need except for the elephants, which I'm still disappointed is not brought up every single episode. I would really love to see her just, even in this last one at the Battle of Winterfell, if it just cut to her just shaking her head, wishing that she had elephants. It was great that she was disappointed in that detail. Anyway, it was good. It was really good. Very well done. I think they did a good job of dividing the scenes up between the characters we were trying to follow, telling their own little stories, and the small ways that those stories intersected was well done. I like that the Hound and his PTSD came back. I think that's a really strong part of his character that a lot of people sort of ignore just because he is the big Billy badass in the story, is that, you know, he's terrified of fire, and this was sort of like it reminded me a lot of him in the Blackwater, where the fire's coming, he's seeing everyone die, and he just says, fuck it, this is not gonna work out for us. We are losing, and we're going to lose. And the same thing happens here. The difference is here, he sees Arya fighting for her life, and when he sees her escape into the castle, he goes after her. He's changed. He's still terrified. He still thinks they're going to lose, but he's not necessarily shamed into action, but he's motivated by her escape. That was really well done. And then when they rescue her and move on, thought that was a really good touch. So well done on that. Look forward to episode 4, seeing how they're going to stretch out this political conflict for another, I'm assuming, 2 episodes, and then the last episode's going to be sort of a closing the book sort of thing. I don't know what they're going to do in episode 4. Like I've said, the highest stakes were the others, and they're taken care of. I do give a shit about who sits on the throne. It's just that I hope that what we have to come makes that shit worth giving. Okay? I will talk to you later. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know. And any comments you have for me, leave comments. I love comments. I rarely get them because our viewership is sitting at about 7 right now. So hi, you 7 people that I probably personally know. But yeah, go ahead, leave comments, like, share, subscribe, do all of the normal internet video things, and I like talking about this stuff. So let's talk about it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.